Hey there, Japanese Retro Game Center here, representing Rockman, right, with a pickup video, which I'll put exclusively on my Patreon site. So, if you're watching this, thank you for supporting me. So, pickups, right? So, picked up some cool stuff today. Not a whole lot, just a small one. So this will be a quick video. So I picked up one non-game related thing, which, well, sort of, it turned into a game related thing, right? So it's a Gintama little, like, card right here. Little, like, card mat, right? So that's really cool. So the reason and it came with a little, like, this here, right? This thing right here from the anime. So I do watch the anime occasionally. It's all, like, reruns, right? But the old ones are really good, right? So that, and it has this Street Fighter parody, right? And it says 6th years on there, right? So with them doing a major parody of the Street Fighter characters, which is really cool. So I had to pick it up, and it was like 100 yen, so why not, right? So maybe I'll keep it for a while. I don't know. Could always sell it, right? It came with that set. So that was that. Pickups were far and few between, right? So, just like as it was in the United States, it's getting harder to pick up good stuff, at least for cheap, right? The prices are going up. But I can still find a few things, right? Whatever I set my limits to, right? It's still okay. So, everything's retro, nothing older than 64, than the N64. So, let's get into it. So first, a couple Wonder Swan games. So Final Fantasy 1 and 2 boxed for the Wonder Swan Color. So when the Wonder Swan came out, Bandai, they set up a contract to get some RPGs on there. So they had a lot of Final Fantasy. Here's the first 2 ports. Right? So I'll open up 1. 2 should be basically the same as 1. But the Wonder Swan, there's the cartridge right there for the Wonder Swan. Very small, very tiny, right? Here's the manual for it. Manual is in color, by the way. The Wonder Swan's a very underrated handheld, so it can be pretty fun. You can, depending on the game, like if you get one of those like Gunpei games or whatever, you can play vertically as well, like the way it has it set up with the buttons. So this is the Wonder Swan for that. It's very cool. So here's Final Fantasy 2. It's the box for that. Here's the back of Final Fantasy 1 right there. And 2. Okay. So yeah, so these were for a decent price. So where I went to pick up some games today, the Wonder Swan, they had some Wonder Swan games for cheap. I guess not as many people are picking them up. So, but I only picked up, I think these were the only 2 I picked up that I thought were worth it. So, there you go. So that's Final Fantasy 1 and 2 for Wonder Swan. So good deal. Wonder Swan Color. Right. So it won't work on the original Wonder Swan. You have to get the color. For comparison, it's the Wonder Swan situation is very similar to like the Neo Geo Pocket and the Pocket Color and that whole deal. So, alright, let's move on to Game Boy. So here is Pokemon Gold. So, boxed. It's in pretty decent condition. A lot of times when you go to like a retro shop, they'll tape up the top or whatever, and when you take the tape off, the gold or the silver with the Pokemon Silver and Crystal, the boxes, the gold comes off of the box, which is horrible. So there's some, slight damage to the box, right? But shiny, right? Very shiny. There's not much damage to that, which is good. That's one of the first things I look for. Getting this. There is the cart. Okay. And it's multicolored, right? So it's got the blue and the gray, right? The silver is the opposite. It usually has the opposite. The casing is the opposite. So they made the whole casing and split it in half or something. Pokemon Neo advert. Lots of adverts came in. How to clean your Game Boy, right? Game Boy Color ad. Very cool stuff right there. all the ways you can play Game Boy. Mainly 2-player for Pokemon, right? And there's the manual, Pokemon Kin. So Pokemon Gold right there. There you go, pick that up for cheap. Pokemon Gold, I think it mentioned on the box that, like, the battery's dead, which, actually, all the Pokemon Gold and Silver, you almost always have to replace the battery, so there's that. The old ones, for the most part, the blue, and Japan, the green, red, what do we have, yellow, the Pikachu version, blue, the batteries hold pretty well, actually, so. Next, Picross 2. Believe this was unreleased outside of Japan. They had Mario Picross that came on Game Boy. In Japan, we had this and the Super Famicom version, which is up on my shelf somewhere. So Picross is a very addictive game. There's the cart. Picross. I like the... It's just... Oh, it's Picross. No ad or anything on the back, right? So... Very addictive puzzle game, kind of if you like the old number, Namplay, or what was it, what was that name, Sugoku? Was that it? Like that. It's kind of like that, except you make pictures as well. Henceforth, Picross, right? So that's a cool game. And Tetris Box, alright? Tetris Box for Game Boy, Tetris. Right? Somebody please correct me, right? But to my knowledge, they never came out, like, when I got the Game Boy when I was like 5 or 6 years old, right? Back in the States, it came with Tetris, right? Packaged into the Game Boy. I think in Japan, I don't think any games ever came with the Game Boy, so, you had to buy it separately. So, you'll see more, or you'll, in case, always see boxed, right? You'll never see it, like, come with the game or something. Or come with the Game Boy, right? So there is Tetris Box. Alright, so Wonder Swan, Game Boy. Oh, one more Game Boy. This one's pretty cool. So this is just kind of an impulse buy. Nano Note. So it says Game Boy Denshi Techo. Oh, same on the front and back, except it has a boy and girl version, right? For both kids. So you can turn your Game Boy into a PDA, basically. You could make graphs. Look at that. So, this was cheap, and it came in a big box, so that drew my attention. And then, right, huge box, possibly unnecessary box, but to make it look more professional, right? So, is that from Konami, right? Warranty, maybe I should turn that in, right? Huge, it's thick. The manual is thick. Let's see. So this is my first time. So everything with these pickup videos is my first time looking through it. So if I stop talking, it's because I'm in awe of what's going on here. So take a look. So you can do some things. It checks the memory. So you can do calculations and graphs, and I guess keep memos for yourself as well. Schedule, address book, right? Card memo, personal data. Oh, Udanai, so you can do your horoscope. Do some Renshu, do some practice. Kanji practice or something like that. So that is cool. So you probably will see that on my eBay store at some point. Just something cool, right? So who needs a smartphone, right? This was the original smartphone, right? Without the phone part, right? The ultimate PDA. Make your Game Boy the ultimate PDA. Alright. Let's go into Mega Drive. So the Japanese Genesis, right? Garo Densetsu, which is Fatal Fury. This didn't have the manual, at least on the wrapper. Yeah, no manual. But it comes with the game, obviously. And it came for cheap. So that's, since it didn't have the manual, right? It was a little bit cheaper. My experience with the Genesis games, they almost never come with the manual, so it's not as big of a deal as like a Game Boy or Super Famicom or whatever. So I picked that up. I think I have it loose, so this should be a box upgrade. So keep an eye on Patreon for that information later. Next, DJ Boy. Alright, so this is kind of a gift to me, more or less. So something I wanted to pick up. So I've heard about this game for a little while now, and this one does have the manual. This was probably the most expensive game I bought today. A little bit over what I want to pay, but not too bad. It was close enough. So, DJ Boy, right? Check that out right there, right? So, it'll beat 'em up, I believe, right? So I wanted to pick that up. So that's one for me, for the personal collection. Okay, next, couple more things. Chrono Trigger loose, great shape, and Chrono Trigger boxed for pretty cheap. This was only a little bit more than it was loose. So that's the only way I pick up deals, which I'll talk about maybe later as well. They're really random with the pricing, so like this box was only a couple dollars more than it was loose. So yeah, of course I'm going to pick it up. It has the Retro Store labels, which probably damage the box if I try to take them off. So they tried to sell this bad boy for over, wow, for over $100, right, when it came out originally. So, ooh. And the discount was like $10 off later, right? Completely different than how they do things back in the States, right, where games go half off, right, after 6 months. Games hold their value here. Until like 20 years later, I did not pay $100 for this, obviously. And even on eBay, you'll see it's nowhere near $100. The Japanese version, right? So, they said the cartridge was bad, but it's not that bad. Or maybe the manual. It's in really good shape. It was in better shape than what I thought it would be. So, there's Chrono Trigger boxed. So, yeah, you'll see that. Of course, I have my own copy of Chrono Trigger. One of my favorite, I guess my favorite RPG of all time. So, and I hope it's yours too. So you'll see that on eBay shortly. And the loose one, I think I already have the loose ones on there. We'll see. Let's jump in the Famicom, specifically Famicom Jump. So, another good deal on this. So, I believe you play as a boy. You don't play, I don't think you play as any of the characters. Or was it this one you play as the characters? I forget. But you do at least come across, right, the characters from the Jump. So, the Hokuto no Ken, right, Fist of the North Star, and the Goku, right, Dragon Ball, and all the famous stuff from the 80s, right, the late 80s Famicom Jump stuff. So, Bandai, with their big old cartridge, right, so they made the extra large cartridge, like the Family Trainer, right, they're the same size as those carts in some of the other games. So, the manual. And it's a very, very interesting game. One of maybe the first old school, like, super collaboration, right? Game. So, good deal. We'll see that on eBay shortly, too. Alright, N64. Last but not least, N64 stuff. So, Donkey Kong, DK, right? Donkey Kong. So, who wants to sing the rap with me, right? So, Donkey Kong 64 box, let's see what it has with it. So, here's the cartridge, of course. Oh, looky there, there it is. It has the cards, that's awesome. A lot of times these are missing, but it has the cards, and they're sealed. Toad warning, right there. Don't plug in a wet cord. Ooh, this comes with everything. Oh, check this out. Bonus. It has the card for Super Smash Brothers in there. So I'll have to keep that. I'll have to pull that out. So, bonus. So, I wonder if I need one for Smash. I have a copy of Smash. Maybe I'll add it to that. And it has the actual Donkey Kong DK64 card. How to play card. Right? All the N64 games. A lot of them had that. And the manual. Alright, so that's a complete set, pretty much, right there. Awesome, with those cards. So, I'm glad I picked that up. I was kind of hesitant at first, but I figured, why not? It'll be worth it. And with the with the Smash Brother How to Play card. It definitely was. That might be worth more to me than the rest of the games altogether. Kirby Hoshino Kabi 64. The Crystal Shards is what it's called outside of Japan. It also has the How to Play card. Awesome. Lots of pink. Lots of Kirby. Wholesome Kirby goodness. There's the cart. Where's Toad? Toad is here. Alright, the Toad warning. Don't plug in the wet adapter thing. And the manual. Looking good. So, Kirby 64. Alright. Another classic game. Must have for the N64. Alright. And one more. One more to go here. Ta-da! Let's see if I can get it all in the shot. I can't even get it all in the shot. This is Pokemon Stadium, the original Pokemon Stadium, which would be like, what, Pokemon Stadium 0, if you want to go like that. This one was unreleased. There was Pokemon Stadium 2, which was Pokemon Stadium 1, right, outside of Japan, and then Pokemon Stadium, well, they don't call it 3, they call it Gold, Silver, Crystal version, which is the Pokemon Stadium 2. And the first one also came in a set where you had the, what do they call it, GB pack, right? Rokuyon GB pack, which is the transfer pack, is what it's called. So this is that set. And like I mentioned before, this box set actually ended up being cheaper than buying the game, like Pokemon Stadium, separately boxed, like in a different location. So, yeah, of course I'm going to pick it up, right? So those are the things that we're down to, is finding the irregularities in pricing. So here is the game, boxed. Inside, the cardboard is missing, so that's kind of a bummer, nothing in there. But it does have the GB pack, which even if it didn't, I wouldn't have trouble finding one. So, there's that. So it was a cool set. So, there's that. This comes with a lot of fun stuff, too. Here's the game. Let's see if we have any bonus stuff in here. Pokemon Stadium. The How to Play card. It's got some writing on there. The previous owner circled some stuff and kept some notes for him or herself about that. How to use the Game Boy pack, the transfer pack. So that was in there as well. This looks like the manual came apart. So there's the manual. Let's see. Yes. Unfortunately, it looks like a piece of the manual came out. So that is there. Man, that's the first time I've seen, like, a random middle part of the manual be loose. Usually, like, the cover's loose or something like that. This is the first time I've seen the middle of it loose. So there you go. So that's Pokemon Stadium, the original. Right. It was kind of, there's not as much on it as in Pokemon Stadium 2. So, as far as I know, so it's kind of like, it's almost like a tech demo compared to Pokemon Stadium 2, I guess. So, there you go. That was my pickups for now. So keep your eyes. So most of this stuff will probably be on the eBay store within the next week or so. And what else? Just doing some random cleaning. Lots of Famicom games went up. Rearranging stuff. Reorganizing my collection. Blah, 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 right? So keep an eye on Patreon. Follow me on Twitter at Japan Retro Games. Facebook, Japanese Retro Game Center. YouTube, I still have YouTube. This will probably be a Patreon exclusive video. So, thanks for watching. So, later.